I like to share a comment that was made on a video I did a while back regarding Haiti being cursed. The comment reads, Haiti was crushed because they was the first blacks to gain their independence. White men made it sure of it, just like we has a people failed here, just like you're tearing down your own people without even knowing it, brother. That's exactly how he wrote it. The thing that stood out to me was the fact that at first he said that the white man made sure, because of the fact that Haiti was the first blacks to gain their independence, the white man made sure to crush them. Because they gained their independence, because they were the first blacks to gain their independence, the white man at that time period destroyed Haiti. But Haiti refused to stand on its feet once again. If they were the first blacks to gain their independence, if they had that much zeal and that much strength to be the first blacks to gain their independence, why did they remain crushed after the white man made sure that they were crushed? Now, if the white man crushed them, why did he say that I'm tearing them down? But I responded, and I said to him, I'm not Haitian, bruh, and I tore no one down. Yes, they might have gained their independence, but are they really independent? How many so-called blacks are rushing to relocate to independent Haiti to get away from this evil white man in America? Independence is no good if you're not free. That was my response to that person. In the 57 going on 58 years of me being on this planet, and I always use my experience growing up in America as an example to the fact that I've never really dealt with what I hear so many black Americans complain about. I've always worked as long as I was old enough to work, and even before I was old enough to work, I wanted to work. So before I was of age of getting my working papers, I shoveled snow in the wintertime to make some money. Now, of course, I could have depended on my mother and my father, but it felt good making my own money. It felt good going to work. So on snow days, and even after school when it snowed, me and my brother and my sisters, we got shovels and we went knocking from door to door asking, would you like your snow shovel? We weren't looking at the houses, the white people. We weren't looking at black people. We went to the homes where their snow was not shoveled. And they respected us and they said yes. A lot of white people had said, come on in. Would you like some cocoa? Would you like some juice? Would you like some cookies? And this was back in the 60s and the 70s. They treated us with respect, even in those times, those racist times that we were growing up in when racism was legal. And it's still legal to an extent, but the punishments of racism was not like it is today. People weren't losing their jobs because they made racial comments or they said something that they weren't supposed to say. So even back in the 60s and the 70s, white people still showed us kindness. And they allowed us to shovel their snow. And they paid us. In the summertime, we had a push lawnmower, 2 wheels, and the rotor. Now, I haven't seen any in today's time. It was no gas. It was just a push lawnmower. We push it, and then you had that blade that turned around and cut the grass. I remember one time we were going around asking people if they wanted their grass cut. And we also had a sickle. So a handle with a blade on it that's curved to cut down weed. And I remember this guy that owned this property. It looked like a home used to be there, and they cut it down, and then it just grew up. A lot of weed just grew up, maybe as tall as we were. And he told us that he would pay us $50. Now, this is back in the 70s. He'll pay us $50 to cut that down and cut that grass. And we did it. And we split that money among ourselves, and we felt good doing it because we earned it. We worked and we earned that money. That was a lot back in the 70s. And we can buy a whole bunch of candy, penny candy, with that money, although we split it among ourselves. What I'm saying is, a lot of what we see today in the black community is not the fault of the white man. I am not denying the fact that in history past, and I know some blacks will say it wasn't too long ago. But if we were as great as we say we are, if we have that resilience like we say we had, if we are as strong as we think we are, we would not be on the bottom in 2018 begging for crumbs and using black as an excuse for our own poverty. There's going to always be a ghetto. There's a white ghetto. I've been to the white ghetto. There's an Asian ghetto. I've been to the Asian ghetto. There's a black ghetto. I've been to the black ghetto. Everybody has a ghetto. But the power behind that is the fact that you don't remain in the ghetto. You take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to you, and you use it to your advantage to pick you and your family out of that ghetto condition. Blacks need to walk away from the black plantation. It's that black plantation that black people use as an excuse for their own failures. We always talk about walking off the demon crab plantation, where the demon crabs have held blacks in slavery since time past. And blacks are like the elephant that was trapped in a cage. And then one day the cage was removed. And although that elephant was free to roam, that elephant stayed within that same diameter or circumference or area where it was enslaved, and it refused to leave. It had the freedom to go, to run. But instead, it stayed there because it was used to that cage plantation. I had just finished watching a video from the Advice Show. Now, I have a great deal of respect for the Advice Show. I remember when his channel first started, and his following was few. I remember when he was beefing with Tommy Sotomayor, and from that point, his channel began to grow. But he had videos he posted when he went or visited the continent. I said the continent. I said the continent. Now, I'm going to have some ignorant blacks that's going to comment and tell me Africa is not a country, it's a continent. When I've never said that. But I digress. When he visited the continent, he posted some videos of interviews he had with some Africans. And a lot of what he was saying was like downplaying America. And it was as if he was crying to those Africans in the continent about what black Americans are going through here in America. And I was watching the reaction of these Africans, and it amazes me because they're trying to come here. They've come here and they've seen the lack of motivation that many black Americans have. But the ones he interviewed said, yes, I've seen what happens in America. And they were trying to look like they were sympathizing towards him. And my thought was, so because America is so bad and blacks are being gunned down and being killed and being disrespected and being treated less than citizens, I just know Advice Show is going to relocate to the motherland. He's visited the motherland and he loves it. I know he's going to free himself from this torturous, oppressive state. And he's going to move his family to the motherland. I know the Advice Show is going to do that because America is so evil and the white man is so corrupt. I know he's going to leave. And it's funny to me that you have people that have the funds to travel across the globe. And as they travel across the globe, they complain about the state of black people when they themselves, by example, is showing that black people were so, how could I put it? Black people are so oppressed and so enslaved under the white man's rule here in America that he's able to get a passport and he can afford to travel to the continent and interview other Africans. He's got camera equipment, he's got cell phones, he's got a silver spoon or a platinum spoon, but he's still complaining what black people are going through. Now, if I was a foreigner and I was interviewed by the Advice Show and I'm hearing what he's telling me, I'm going to think like, wow, I really don't want to go to America because black people really got it bad. The minute the plane lands, I'm going to be shot. That's how bad the advice show made it sing or sound. And one woman that he interviewed said, "Wow, I didn't know that Black Americans were divided by religion." Her expression said a whole lot. So I'm thinking like, why is he going to another country to complain about where he lives? As if he was looking for sympathy. Like, what can they do to help you out of your condition? And so he started asking about Black Americans coming there and Black Americans getting jobs. Is it easier for Black Americans to get a job because of the fact that they're Black? And the one woman was saying, well, no, you've got to be educated. And it's kind of hard, to get a job because of the fact that we turn out so many people, in school and that there's not enough work, basically. So the same thing that's happening in America is happening over in the continent. People with master degrees or what have you find it difficult to find work. So many of them create their own businesses. But here in America, Black Americans that receive an education, and now you have it where, especially locally here, anyone that graduates from high school in this district go to college for free. So it's like, what excuses do Black people have for not making it in life? We complain about the white man. We complain about slavery that you never lived before. We complain about Jim Crow. We complain about the KKK, which is basically a non-existent, or it just changed its form. We complain about the fact that there's no fathers in the home. There's single-parent mothers. And then you have the division between the Black man and the Black woman, the Black parent and the Black child. You have problems between the light skin and the dark skin. We have so many excuses for not doing better and gathering enough strength to stand on our feet and leave the ghetto behind. So Black people need to leave. Better yet, it's past due that Black people leave the Black plantation. Leave Black alone. I'm reminded of a parable in the Bible, and then I'm going to end this video, where this man was blind. And Yeshua came along, and he spit on the ground, made some mud, and anointed the man's eyes. And he asked the man, "How do you see?" The first response was, "I see men as trees." In other words, he was not seeing right. He was seeing like Black people see white people. He saw them as being fruitful. He saw them as being giants. He didn't see them as being another human being. But then Yeshua anointed the man's eyes again and asked him, "How do you see now?" And he said, "I see men as men." Until Black Americans start seeing men as men and not as colors, they will always remain on the bottom. They will always remain on that Black plantation. Black Americans need to forsake blackness and see men as men. So come off that Black plantation. Come off that democratic plantation. Until next time. I'm fearless.